Night shift workers of Reddit. What's the creepiest thing that's ever happened during your shift? I was a janitor at a local gym. I was mopping the floors and had my back to the door, just listening to my iPod. I turned around and there was a man, dressed in a super sketchy dollar store U-piece costume. He had his face pressed to the glass, smiling and tapping on the window with one finger. He scared the shit out of me. He said to let him in to deliver a package. Mind you, it is 1:30 a.m. I said that and called the cops. They found him trying to break into a house down the road. This is the stuff I worry about, not supernatural stuff, but the crazy ones looking to poke out your eyes. I was sitting at a desk in front of a good-sized window, reading a binder. Sort of had that feeling like somebody was watching me, so I looked up and there was a face pressed to the glass. No idea how long he had been there before I looked up. I ran out to the foyer, where there was a glass door on the porch that should be locked. It wasn't. He started shaking the door trying to get in, ran to the next room, and he just followed me around the house while I was on the phone with the cops, watching me through the windows. They didn't catch him that night, but he came back the next night and they caught him. Creepy as hell. Sometimes patients come in for other problems and don't mention that they sleepwalk. There have been a few occasions where I have been sitting in my office watching vitals and writing reports when I turn around to get something and bam, patient has sleepwalked into my office and is standing right behind me at 2 a.m. in the dead quiet. That one gives quite a shock. I worked at a 7-Eleven many years ago during a night shift. I was in the back room and the other girl up front comes back and tells me she can't help this guy and wanted me to do it. So I go up to the front, and the guy at the counter had electrical tape wrapped around his upper arm and like hand syringes in his forearm. I don't remember what he bought, and the extent of our conversation was him saying, "Don't worry, okay." That was literally the strangest, most effed up experience I have ever had at a job. That's the kind of guy you hear about later on the news, or the unknown body found at the bottom of the creek. Right out of college, I got a job as a nanny for 2 elementary-aged girls. For their anniversary, the parents went on a week-long cruise, and I stayed at home with the kids the first few nights. The 8-year-old would come into my room multiple times a night and wake me up. It was obvious she hadn't pre-planned what she was going to give me as a reason for waking me up, so she would stumble through an excuse on the spot, like I just wanted to make sure we are still going to the park tomorrow. Or I think I forgot to brush my teeth and wondered if I should do it now or wait till the morning. I figured she was just missing her parents and feeling very out of sorts, so I let it slide at first. So by the 4th or 5th time, knowing I needed sleep to keep up with 2 active kids, I told her that she wasn't to wake me up unless there was an emergency. I get a couple more hours of understood sleep, but wake up with a weird feeling around 5 a.m. I turn over and nearly piss myself. The girl has brought over a chair right next to the bed and is staring down at me. It didn't help that she had long dark hair. And this happened a few months after the ring came out. Her explanation: "I just thought it would be fun to watch you sleep. I didn't wake you." Touche, kiddo. My dad used to work nights for the city, spraying weeds and shit. He was doing a graveyard one night, and he said for some reason that he just felt terrified. Suddenly he looked behind him, and like 50 feet away was this old guy sitting on a headstone, just giving my dad the 1,000-yard stare, apparently. My dad tried to ask him what he was doing out there and told him to leave because of the chemicals, but the guy just sat there, stone still, staring my dad in the eye. He took the rest of the night off and came home visibly shaken up. And he wasn't the type to let that show, normally, not saying it was a ghost or anything. Just could have been some weird old man visiting his dead wife or something. But the way he described it was just Evans scary. I used to be on overnights, often with one other person in my work center. Well, we worked in the basement of a huge complex and would often go outside to smoke. A 5-minute journey. One night we decide to take the elevator for a change. Because stairs, while approaching the elevator, we see a gentleman in a red polo waiting at the elevator. When we were about 10 yards away, the door opens and he enters. and we entered an empty elevator a few steps behind. When I was shutting down projectors and closing down the movie theater, around 2 a.m., I shut off the projector and turned around to see one theater starting to play, insidiously from the beginning. Without previews, it was extremely out of place, considering the projectors are programmed for the movies to start automatically with the 20-minute previews built in. No show was scheduled on the computer, and I still don't know how it started. But I locked myself in the office for the rest of the night, and the night janitors had even scarier mishaps. It was very early in the morning, and the air was still. The sky was barely lit in the east, but the sun was not yet up. I and a coworker went outside to have a smoke. Well, we were standing there. There was a sound in the distance coming from our left, and fast I can only describe it as the sound of a very fast-moving car, minus the engine noise. You could hear the Doppler effect as the air moved toward us, passing us by and continuing down the street. We gave each other a blank what the fuck stare before I noticed the power lines. The power lines up and down. The whole street were waving up and down, like someone was playing jump rope with them. Of course, we had no idea what would have caused this, but it was very strange to say the least. I've been waiting for a place to share this story. While I was in high school, I worked for catering company / banquet hall, so my hours usually started anywhere from 4 to 7 and ended from 11 to 2. One day I was there pretty late, resetting a room for a wedding we were having. The next day, and someone had told me to go upstairs, some chairs from the room that hosted the wedding. That night, so when I got to the room, I noticed that there were still people in the room chatting it up and having a good time. I told them the wedding ended an hour ago, but I thought nothing of it and got some chairs and brought them down. When I brought the chairs down, I told someone that there were still guests there, and that if we need anything else from that room, we should wait until they leave. Person I told said that he was up in that room just moments ago, and didn't remember seeing anyone up there, so I brought him up there, and sure enough, the room was empty, and looked like it had been for hours. Easily the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me. Man, that's so creepy, since there's no possible way people could have walked in there all by themselves, and then back out again. I walked a body down to the morgue from the ICU. The way to the morgue is in a long, empty, dark tunnel in the basement of the hospital, at least 100 yards long. It was the body of an older lady who was really cranky during her stay, but nonetheless, it just struck me that she was still alive earlier in my shift. Hit a bump going to the elevator, which was oddly enough elevator number 13, and her hand slid off her hip in the body bag and bumped me. I had a split second where I was really close to poop and my pants. One night around midnight, after the grocery store where I work had closed, I came in for my shift and looked out across the parking lot to see a guy pushing carts around in the middle of a rainstorm. Later, as I was busy with co-workers, there was a peal of thunder and a flash of light from a lightning bolt outside. As I looked behind me to the door, that guy was blankly looking into the store. As he pushed some carts up to the cart collection area, he looked like a total zombie and completely startled me. I worked the night shift in a greasy spoon diner. Lots of drunks and stuff, so the other waitresses get off at 4 a.m., while I stay until 7 a.m. She leaves only to come back a few seconds later. She has a weird, half-smiling look on her face, and she says, someone put something on your car. Judging by her look, I know it's not good. I run out to find my car covered in naked dolls. Hundreds of them. Cabbage Patch Barbies, baby dolls, etc. All different kinds, shapes, and sizes. The only thing they have in common is they're all naked. It took 4.5 55-gallon trash cans packed to get rid of them all. It was weird. What came next was weirder. I proceeded to get calls at work, nightly at 4:15 a.m., asking if I liked my gift. The call started out polite and inquisitive, and over 2 months turned into yelling and calling me a spot. Then one day at 4:15 a.m., like always, the phone rang. I answered, and I hear a bunch of popping noises. No voices, then they hung up. I never got a call again. It's been 9 years, and I still don't have a clue who, or why not me, but my aunt. She works at a hospital as a bioengineer. before I start. I want you all to know that my aunt gets scared really easily. And when I was 4 or 5 years old, my favorite hobby was to scare her. One time she got so scared did she pissed herself. Well, she arrived at the hospital at 2300. After 3 hours, she was getting tired, and eventually it came to the point where she started to fall asleep. Just as she is about to fall asleep, she hears the doors to the floor she is on open. My aunt checks the clock, and it is only 3:30. She knows something is wrong, because her shift doesn't even end until 7. My aunt slowly opens the door and peeks out into the hallway. She sees the silhouette of a man coming her way. She closes the door and locks it, waiting for the man to pass. She can hear the footsteps, and just as they are outside the door, they stop. Mine is sitting on the inside watching the doorknob go up and down a few times. When she hears the footsteps are fading away, she proceeds to call the security desk at the hospital. No answer. She peeks out in the hallway again, and on the floor she can see the blood-stained footprints of a barefoot man. My aunt is now almost crying out of pure fright, but she manages to phone the police. When the police arrived, they have found out that the man walking around was a drug addict looking for drugs, and the security officer had just fallen asleep. I was a fry cook at this 24-hour burger joint. The pay wasn't very good, and I had a lot going on in my life, but I needed the extra cash. Well, anyways, the place would get pretty dead late at night. We didn't live in a big town, didn't get a lot of business, but my greedy manager didn't give a crap, and we had to stay open. So it's just me and one coworker, shooting the shit, cleaning what we can to kill the time, taking out the trash, cleaning the walls, telling old stories. Pretty typical night. Then the phone rang. I picked it up, and nobody talked. Probably got the wrong number. Well, this happened 2 more times. But then I heard the breathing on the other line. It was like we were being watched. It's hard to explain. And like 4 in the morning, power goes crazy, lights start flickering. It's creepy-ish. I just want to go home at this point, because we didn't see a single customer all day night. Everything was clean, and we were just killing time. And that's when it happened. A bus drops off this dude in a hoodie. He just stands outside, looking sketchy as hell and not moving. We start freaking out a bit, because we didn't think the buses ran that late. Next thing you know, he slowly walks in the door. Still can't see him, and he pulls a weapon out. Or so we thought. It was a spatula. He wanted a job at the Krusty Krab Creepiest. We told him to get out of our store. The dude was weird as hell. I work in a large hospital. We have cameras everywhere. One night, one of our officers notices a door opening at the back of the building. The door is locked from the outside and has a push bar to open it. Rewound the footage, and you can see the push bar being pushed in and the door swinging open on its own. It's extremely unnerving to watch.